This is the original. Great little saying on the trading post there. A Flagite was poor, but his troubles are o'er. He has money to burn since he trades at this store. So the first National Bank building before, and it still looks just beautiful, just like it did originally. Now we're going to go turn around, and there's the original Babbitt building. And here's what somebody in their great wisdom did to that building. That's what it looked like, believe it or not, until the 90s. Now, with Jim Babbitt and some help from Main Street, but his dedication primarily, we have this beautiful structure restored. We'll take a little closer look at that basement entrance with the beautiful wrought iron. Jim's put a lot of time, effort, money, and care into this building. Now we're going to turn to the right and look at the Monte Vista Hotel. That's it under construction, and it looks much the same as it always did. Now we're going to continue further east on Aspen. I'm not real sure where this building was. Sorry, if anybody knows, email me. Right next to there, in that area, is the Power Hat Shop. Very different building with small river stones on the facade. And it looks today much like it did originally. And if we step just to the next building to the left, here it is before restoration. And once again, thanks to Jim Babbitt, post-restoration. Next to that, the J.C. Penney building, as it looked originally, and as it looks today, after they added a second story. And just to the left of that, pre-restoration and post-restoration. I mean, sometimes all you need is some paint and awnings. Now let's go back down towards Santa Fe on Agassiz, and there's the Vineyard, which was a Christian retreat of some sort in the early 90s, and that was pre-restoration, and this is post-restoration. Now we're back to Route 66, Santa Fe Boulevard. This is yet another parade. Woohoo! There's where the Joe's place used to be in the middle of the block. It ended up on the corner for quite a long time until recently. But we're basically looking east on Route 66 here, and we're going to go there now. That is one of those buildings pre-restoration, post-restoration phase 1, post-restoration phase 2. Another one of those buildings, the original Greyhound bus depot. That's what it looked like later on. Anyway, here's pre-restoration, another building there, and mid-restoration, and then finally post-restoration. Now we're going to go a little bit west of that, still about a half a block to the east of San Francisco Street. That's the original Pine Hotel. It was boarded up and condemned for many years, literally until the 1990s. And if you look at the next building to the left, that still exists. The Pine Motel, which is now in the right of this photograph, no longer exists. It was torn down. So here's pre-restoration. Here's post-restoration. And now you can see the oval window on the building to the left. We'll move left there. Grand Canyon Cafe. And then just left of that, this is pre-restoration. Sort of trying to convince of restoration. Next to the corner building, which is the oldest building in town, Joe's Place at that time. And this is post-restoration, the Tattoo Tattoo. Now we'll go actually to the corner just left of that. And now it was the New York store originally, oldest building in town. Turned into Joe's Place. Look at the building to the right of it. That's the tattoo place now. And it is now painted desert, and they've been done some really beautiful work with it. Now let's turn right around from where that lady is walking to the old freight depot. There's old Two Spot. That belonged to the lumber company. It's what took lumber from the forest to the lumber yard for many, many, many decades. And it's called Two Spot, even though it's number 25, because they used to hang a water bag for cooling over the 5, so it looked like a 2. There's the old freight depot. originally. And there's what it looks like roughly today, post-restoration. And that statue is of a Gandhi dancer. It's worth taking a look-see at. It's a cool little statue of the people that drove the spikes for the railroad in 1869. That building is on South San Francisco. That was a lumber yard for many years and has been beautifully rebuilt to fit into the motif of downtown. So now we're standing back at the corner of Route 66 and San Francisco Street. How the building that I used to own and used to house Winnie's Natural Foods and was the Vail building, second oldest building in town, now looks. Now we're looking north on San Francisco Street. Where's the parade? Okay, and we're going to go first to the right. You can see those buildings on the right, the restaurant. That's what it looked like pre-restoration and post-restoration. A lot of these restorations were done based on the Main Street architect's drawings. Here's one of his drawings of the Knackered building. Now we're back where Aspen Sports is, on the west side of San Francisco Street, just north of the alley. That is pre-restoration. This is some of the tin ceilings that were actually snipped off the interior ceiling and used as patchwork under the awning. Again, they took some of the original windows out and replaced them with aluminum windows. They were stuccoing over the brick. So we did a facade drawing, the Knackered building, and today the building looks, well, this is just before today. There's been some more restoration work done on it since then, and this is today. Much nicer. Now let's focus on the building just north of that two-story brick building. That's what it looked like when it was built, and still beautiful today after some work. Really nice. Let's go across the street from that building. This was what the building looked like here, pre-restoration and post. They had some failure of the bricks on the facade a long time ago, so what they did was they put that beam in and made this oval. Very interesting structure. Let's go north further. This is pre-restoration. This is what the drawing looked like for the restoration work, and finally what it looks like today, roughly. And finally, to the Elks building on the corner, which had McGaw's newsstand for many years and now has a Patagonia store. If anybody can figure out what they put on that Elks antlers, I can't tell. They couldn't have had beer cans. And here's what it looked like when it was McGaw's newsstand, and that's Mission Ice Creamery sign on the left there was the original. And then we're back across the street to the Monte V, and if you look north of that is this beautiful terracotta building. That's what it looked like when it was built. This is pre-restoration and post-restoration. Stepping north, Federal Building looks much the same as it did when it was built. Now from the Federal Building, looking back down the street south towards the Babbitt Building, that's what it looks like today. You remember the stucco that looked like in the early 90s. This is one of the interiors, late for the train, really nicely done. Bad photograph. Now we're going to look at the back of the structure on the corner just north of that. We're going to look at the front of that soon. So this is all new Federal Court building. The left-hand portion of the building where the stairway and the elevator are all new. The right side of the main structure is original. But across from that first is the Masonic Temple. That's how it looked like originally, and today it looks much the same. Now we'll go back to the Federal Court building. It was a garage for many years. That's how it looked quite a long time ago. That's how it looked pre-restoration. And now that's the back side of the Federal Court building. Beautifully done. Now let's turn around from where this picture was taken to the courthouse. Here's what the courthouse looked like pre-restoration, covered with a 50s, 60s facade. Yep. Anyway, here's the photograph taken of the original, as we were working on the restoration project. Here is some of the workmen working on the terracotta to restore some of the parts of the building that were destroyed to put the extension on. And here's the beautiful building as it stands today. Across the street, the old Aspie Watkins and Diesel building. More currently, National Bank. Down the street, going west on Birch, pre-restoration, post-restoration. Now going to Birch and LaRue, the old Newberry's building, discount store in the downtown area. And now it's a mall and a nicely done set of murals up there. And then further west on Birch, tune-ups. Great. Well, if you don't need a tune-up, how about Mexican food? Same building, post-restoration. And then finally, the old Lehman's building on the corner of Humphreys and Beaver, still much the same. And we'll just look at a couple of the signs that have been put up of the many beautiful signs, wrought iron signs that are now downtown. A real unique theme that has sprung up in the downtown area, all these neat historic wrought iron signs. And since the restoration, we're proud to say that the historic downtown Flagstaff has more than quadrupled its income and tax revenues to the city, and it is really alive and booming as opposed to dead and full of drunks sleeping in the gutters as it was before. And to conclude, if anybody knows where this building was, I'm keen to know. Those guys look ready to drink. Anyway, that's the show. Thanks for taking the time. Cheers.